Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Prince of Mastodon here, and I'm going to do another movie review for you guys. This will be another historical movie. This is called The First King, at least in the English language, but this is a 2019 Italian production, and this production has the distinction of having all the dialogue told in Old Latin, so it kind of lends that sense of authenticity. Plus, with all the Italian locales that they filmed it in. But yeah, this is The First King, and this is a movie not about the glory of Rome. This is kind of a prequel to all those movies that you see where Rome is, glorious and amazing. This is the story of Romulus and Remus, the legendary founding brothers of the city of Rome, and how they argued about it. But yeah, this movie is slightly different than the legends. If you ever read the legends of Romulus and Remus, the basic gist of those legends is that Romulus and Remus, they did come from royal lineage. Their grandfather, Numitor, had been dethroned by his brother Amulius, and Amulius wanted these brothers dead. So these brothers ended up abandoned on the Tiber River, where they're eventually cared for by a she-wolf. Yeah, so little she-wolf. They eventually become shepherds, and as they got older, they finally learned of their royal lineage, and they finally end up helping their grandfather get back onto the throne of this Latin city called Alba. And it's about them getting their grandfather back on the throne, and then when they go to make their own city, they argue with each other, and this results in Romulus actually killing his own brother Remus, and that's how the city of Rome is found. But the movie is a bit different than that. The movie kind of simplifies things, and it doesn't really go into all those stories about their lineage. So yeah, the movie kind of goes in its own direction. So for practical reasons, the movie does not mention or show any kind of she-wolf nursing the two brothers, even though that image is pretty iconic in our minds. Also, in the old legends, Romulus and Remus were from the city of Alba. That's where their grandfather was ruler. But if you had just seen this movie, The First King, you would not know that these guys were from Alba. They don't make any kind of connection with that city whatsoever. So, without giving away any spoilers, this movie does start off when Romulus and Remus are fully grown adults. They appear to be shepherds, and at the very start, this big flood kind of washes away their flock. And when they wake up, they're being taken prisoners by warriors that come from Alba. And then you kind of see how these two brothers interact with each other and how they get away from these soldiers. But yeah, once again, you don't really learn anything about where Romulus and Remus are in the movie. The only time that Remus makes any note of being a king is when he is mysteriously out hunting in the woods for a deer. Out of nowhere, he comes back to the village where the Velians are, and he proclaims himself their king, and he starts bossing them around. It's a very weird change in character, because Remus was this really brotherly person, but after hunting this deer, he comes back like a boss, not a good boss, like a really mean boss, and he's like, "I'm your king. You're gonna do what I say, or else." Remus seems to be, more practical and not really level-headed, but he's one of those guys. He's like, hey, if the gods really want one of us to die, maybe those aren't really gods. So I like that aspect of Remus, but the problem is they kind of balance out Remus's, practical side with him being a real mean person. Kind of want to cheer for Remus, but then you see how he rules, and he's not a very good person. Whereas Romulus is this God-fearing person. Romulus is definitely seen as the more better of the two brothers as a ruler. So that's what you see and learn of these two brothers. You get Remus, who doesn't really like the gods, but he's kind of a jerk. And then you have Romulus, who loves the gods, but he seems to be a better ruler. Overall, this movie is fantastic. Like, if you're trying to avoid, the common cliche movies about Rome where they're all glorious, imperialistic, republican, or whatnot, I would definitely recommend watching The First King, because this is not even Rome yet. This is like before 750 BC, where Rome was officially founded. This is even long before that. These guys look like they're barbarians. They look really ragged in what they're wearing, and I love that aspect. And I kind of said this earlier, but I love the production where it was all filmed in Italy, so it kind of gives you that scenery that looks very authentic. Plus, the Latin dialogue that goes with the characters that definitely makes this movie feel very authentic. I think the only flaws or the only flaw I saw with this movie is mainly the bizarre shift in behavior with Remus's character. He's this brotherly person, but when he goes off hunting, he comes back as a real like selfish dictator who only cares about himself. It's just a bizarre change in character, which I don't think the movie did a very good job of explaining. But it does eventually lead up to the quarrel between him and his brother, so I guess that's one thing. I guess the only other complaint is just how much that this movie omits from the legends, because I think this movie probably would have benefited more if we knew about the lineage of Romulus and Remus. Because right now we just meet them as shepherds. We don't know anything about their royal blood, and I think that might have helped progress the story a little bit better. Because right now they're just kind of running around and fighting people. Oh yeah, and as for the battles are very brutal. They're very savage. They look very raw, and they look pretty authentic. Because it doesn't seem like it's rehearsed, although it most likely was. But it just seems really natural the way these guys are fighting. There's like no form to it. There's like swinging away, trying to survive, and it makes this movie look very very brutal and raw, which I love. So I would definitely recommend this movie, even though I have a few minor gripes with it. This is still a great production. The acting is phenomenal, and the Italian locales are great. I love that it was filmed in Italy, and I love the Latin dialogue. So yeah. If you want to watch a different type of Roman movie, then definitely watch Romulus or The First King, because it's great. Highly recommend, guys.